Hi, I'm Lisa Leiter. In Chicago Business Today, ComEd rate hikes. Commonwealth Edison is planning a big legislative push this spring that would allow electric and natural gas utilities to hike delivery rates every year. They're also pushing for sharply curtailing the oversight the state's utility regulators have to control the price for power and heat. Steve Daniels wrote about it in this week's print edition of Crain's and joined me to talk more about it and the impact it will have on Illinois residents. So Steve, what is ComEd trying to do here and what's their reasoning behind it?
Well, what they want to do is to get a more predictable rate process of setting their rates. They want to invest $2.6 billion incrementally in Chicago's grid over the next 10 years, and they want a more predictable way of recovering that investment and ensuring that they make an adequate return on it.
Okay, that's ComEd's point of view, but what are consumer advocates saying about a plan like this?
Consumer advocates are very leery about it. I mean, it's a major change in how electricity rates and gas rates have been set for almost 100 years in this state and a lot of the other rest of the country as well, in which utilities come in to the regulators, file a rate case. The regulators look over all their costs, decide what's an appropriate return, and then 11 months later they come up with a decision. Sometimes those decisions change quite a bit from rate case to rate case, and the utilities don't like that. They want something more predictable so that they say they can, more cheaply finance basically the modernization of Chicago's grid to handle a more electronic economy.
They may be able to more cheaply finance, but will people like you and me be paying higher rates in order to do that? I
mean, that's the problem from consumer advocates' point of view, is that it means predictably that rates will go up every year, as a matter of fact, and automatically, more or less. I mean, the regulators would have an ability to review these costs after the fact, but they would be basically looking at whether they're egregious or not. A lot of the key decisions that they make now, they wouldn't be making anymore. So it's kind of an automated or a semi-automated process that would lead inevitably to stepped-up rates.
Now, ComEd tried to get some legislation passed last spring that looked pretty similar to this. What are the major differences and why do they think they'll be more successful this time?
Last year they proposed to give the state $500 million to help, with its budget issues in return for a rate freeze over the next 4 years. That rate freeze would have been made possible with some contracts that would have been entered into by ComEd's sister company, parent company, Exelon, which owns 6 nuclear plants in the state. All of that is not part of this. There's no proposed rate freeze. In fact, rates, at least right now, the overall rates, 2/3 of which are determined by the price of power rather than the cost of delivering the power, which is what ComEd is talking about in this bill, will go down over the next 4 years if wholesale power prices stay where they are right now. But this will be a tough sell in the legislature nonetheless.
What are the chances? What are people saying? Do they think that, especially in light of last week's tax increases, are they really going to want to take up a measure like this?
Well, that's exactly it. They've just hit consumers very hard with taxes. Are they going to want to, dig into their pockets in order to help utilities? Now, utilities are very generous contributors to campaigns. Legislators like to try to make them happy, but nonetheless, they've got constituents and voters that right now are very unhappy. So they're going to have to think about who they want to please.
Okay, Steve. Well, we'll be watching. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And that's this edition of Chicago Business Today. For more on this story, be sure to check out this week's print edition of Crain's and chicagobusiness.com. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.